Cup play factoring into their starting lineups tonight. Toronto will start Alex Bono in net, and he will be the captain. The defensive backs will be Wesley Sharpie, Mitch Tainer, and Robert Boskovic, along with Anthony Osoro. The midfielders, Liam Frazier and Aiden Daniels, along with Brian James, Sal Bernal, and Malik Johnson. And the forward is Sean Hundle. For Charlotte, there are lots of new starting faces here tonight. Making his first start in the lineup will be Paul Klaus, who was signed earlier this week, a player who played with DC United but was released by the Washington, D.C. team last month. He was picked up by Independence this past week and is in the lineup tonight. He will be along that back line. John Berner will start in net, making his second straight USL start. Jack Metcalf is back in the starting lineup tonight. The captain, Bilal Duckett, is also back in tonight, along with a player making his first start this season in Dennis Castillo. In midfield, June Marcus Davidson, along with Jorge Herrera, the man who leads the team in scoring, along with Lewis Hilton, and the forwards, Caleb Calvert, David Estrada, and Zach Pfeffer gets his second start as a member of Charlotte Independence. Toronto will line up over the ball. 16-year-old Sean Hundle lines up there, along with Sal Bernal, and we're all set for action here tonight. Jack, it's going to be interesting to see how Charlotte responds after an unusual loss. You don't usually see a team coming off a 5-0 loss in overtime to the Carolina Railhawks in U.S. Open Cup play, but that's what Independence is trying to recover from tonight. And, of course, the lineup is remarkably different. It's the first game this year that Patrick Slogic has not started, and it's only the second time that Enzo Martinez has not started a game for Independence. Bono kicks it away down the field, and Malik Johnson can't field it. Charlotte in their royal blue uniforms back here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex for the first time since May the 7th when they defeated FC Montreal. Last week, Charlotte lost to an MLS developmental side for the first time in the franchise's young history. They had gone previously undefeated, having already defeated FC Montreal and the New York Red Bulls this year. Taken down on the play is 36, Brian James. Independence with Duckett, who has played every minute of every game so far this year. But it's a brand new back line for Charlotte. Henry Kalungi is not playing tonight, and neither is Patrick Slogic, as we mentioned. This is Klaus ahead, one touch by Caleb Calvert. Hilton plays it to the right, quick passing here by the Jacks. Jack Metcalf now has a fellow Clemson Tiger to pass it to. He's got it now, and Klaus taken down, and that results in a free kick.
Yeah, lovely bit of build-up play there. Nice little intricate passing, 3 or 4 passes and finding the space on the edge of the box. And he gets brought down in dangerous position early. Good early chance for the Independents.
So Paul Klaus doing a good job of moving through there. As you see the foul on the trip up, it was Liam Frazier. And Independence, who has scored only 3 goals in its last 5 games, for comparison's sake, during its 4-game winning streak, they had a total of 9 goals in that span. Lines up at the ball roughly 23 yards from net. Jorge Herrera, who including all competitions leads the team in scoring, is back with Lewis Hilton. Jorge will take it, plays it in the box. It's headed out immediately up to midfield. That's where Jack Metcalf, who has been an on-again, off-again starter in the lineup, playing tonight at right back. The former Clemson Tiger has Paul Klaus, who just got finished playing with Clemson this past season. In fact, this past fall with the Tigers, he was with them. He was drafted in the MLS Super Draft by DC United, released recently. Now right back in action here tonight, playing with Charlotte Independence, making his team debut. It is a hot, humid day. You'll notice some patches on the field. We had torrential rain over the last month here in the Charlotte area that forced the postponement of a game against Cincinnati. Nice shot put forth by Zach Pfeffer and a diving save made by Alex Bono.
Yeah, nice clean strike from about 30 yards out there, just testing the keeper early. Keeper does well and holds on to it, doesn't spill it.
Charlotte coming off a season low 6 shots against Orlando City B last weekend. They had 3 shots on net. That was the second lowest total this season. Estrada gives a run. Bono comes out of the box to play it in deep. And it was John Berner's first game in USL action for Independence. Cody Mazzell played a stupendous game, even though You wouldn't know it looking at the final score line, 5-0 against the Carolina Railhawks. Mazzell making all sorts of fabulous saves throughout regulation to keep the Jacks in it over in Cary before ultimately falling. Jorge Herrera looks to spring the ball up the field here with Independence facing Toronto FC2, who they defeated on this very field 4-1 last year in the final game of the 2015 season at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. Ball played in deep and out for a throw. In case you missed that game with the Railhawks, it was Jumarcus Davidson who wound up getting a red card midway through the first half. It was a straight red. Independence was on the defensive from that point forward, needless to say, but they somehow still found a way to get that game into overtime before ultimately falling. And it was a gassed defensive back line for Independence, so gassed that two of its regular starters, Patrick Slogic and Henry Kalungi, not starting here tonight. But that was then, and this is now, and Independence looking to get to 20 points on the year. Last season, they didn't break the 20-point barrier until August 1st when they defeated Rochester here 4-2. They were the only team in the USL last year to knock off the Rhinos in the regular season and for all of the season in USL play. You see some of the new faces in there for Independence. As you see Paul Klaus, Dennis Castillo. There's a regular face in Bilal Duckett. He'll play it along to Jack Metcalf. Jorge Herrera with 3 goals. Klaus chests it down, looks for Estrada trying to flip the field, and Estrada can't catch up to it.
Independence moving the ball well. Jorge Herrera's finding himself in good space and picking out his midfield partners as well.
Jorge has been in and out of the starting lineup this year. Tonight, he's making his 5th start in his 11th appearance. He's played in all the games. He's been an on-again, off-again starter. Giveaway, Brian James at midfield. Collides with Castillo for the ball, and the Jacks win it out. Herrera gives it away. This is Brian James. Playing across to one of the many young faces on this Toronto FC2 team, and that's Anthony Osorio. Metcalf up the field. Hilton. Klaus sweeps in, plays it long, draws a foul.
Yeah, just caught him late. A couple of big tackles going in there. Obviously, the conditions are quite difficult to play in, so the ball's sort of bobbling and bouncing around, and they're getting stuck in there in the middle of the park.
Well, Jack, you were here for the very first game in the stadium last June, almost a year ago, when Charlotte went up against Charleston, and you remarked how the pitch was not in very good shape that night. It got better and really started this season very well. Unfortunately, the last few weeks of rain have caused it to take a setback. Castillo will play across, looks in, but Bono will handle it. Almost 2 minutes in here tonight at Ramblewood Soccer Complex, the first of 2 games in 6 days at home for Independence. They'll go up against Bethlehem Steel FC on Friday night here. Bethlehem Steel, one of the famed names in professional soccer that has gotten a rebirth as the new developmental team for Philadelphia Union. Headed by Castillo, but it's taken back, and then Malik Johnson tries a shot. That was blocked by Jumarcus Davidson. Wesley Sharpie to the far end of the field. Inserts across. Sean Hundle, 18 years old, can't handle it, and it's kicked out.
Yeah, if you caught the touchdown here, was in about 2 or 3 yards of space. Just couldn't quite get the touchdown under control to find the shot.
Right back attack with Metcalf looking for someone inside. He'll have to relent to Duckett. Independence only got 1 goal early in the 9th minute against FC Montreal. That was all it took to knock off FCM. And that was the last home game here for the Jacks at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. Last season, Charlotte tied Toronto FC2 at the Ontario Soccer Center. And as we mentioned earlier, they defeated TFC2 here in Charlotte 4-1. That night, Ryan Finley scored 2 goals, and Jack Thompson, what turned out to be his final professional goal, made it one to remember, a fantastic finish that ultimately gave Charlotte a victory. Duckett, Paul Klaus, native of England. Jumarcus Davidson now looks to the right. Jorge Herrera stripped to the ball. Nicely by Brian James. And then sweeping in is 55, Aiden Daniels. Here's Osorio up the field, looks for Hundle. He'll jostle with Duckett ball. Takes a funny hop. Hundle handles it. Hundle running to the right. He'll drop it off. James will opt to the right. Up the field, Wesley Sharpie got two in the box. Sal Bernal's in there along with Hundle, and he'll kick it round to the back. Well, Sal Bernal wound up scoring the game winner in Toronto FC2's last victory, which was a win over Richmond. Richmond, in fact, got swept in its first two games by the two Canadian teams in the USL's Eastern Conference. They lost at home last weekend to FC Montreal and also lost 1-0 on a Wednesday morning, of all times, to this Toronto squad. Ju Marcus Davison, Klaus in his first game with Charlotte. Gives it up to Bilal Duncan. Here come the Jags. Lights are coming on here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. We're very happy you're with us. Estrada will play it back. And certainly, in our best thoughts tonight, memory of Ali. Thank you. What sounds? And Charlotte. I also like to say, which is get well soon to Richard kicker is Matthew Delacotte, who next scored on this very field back on April 22nd against Charlotte. Matthew underwent a treatment last week, and it was discovered that he has kidney cancer. We certainly wish the very best for him and a speedy recovery. Malik Benson to the far end of the field, bumped off the ball, and it'll lead to a Charlotte throw.
Charlotte definitely had the better position of being able to move the ball a little bit more effectively than Toronto. They've combined with some nice intricate passing in the midfield, and Herrera's been finding himself in space. And being nice and patient with it. They just need to work that ball into the final third to sort of create that clear-cut chance.
Well, Mike Jeffries was asked about the scoring drought just the other day by one reporter, and he said, we haven't made our best decisions in the attacking third, and that's the reason why the team, aside from the game with the Charlotte Eagles, has scored only 3 goals in its last 5 contests. Against Charlotte, they put up a pair to defeat the Eagles in the first ever Queen City Derby. Charlotte lining up 3 forwards, which has been, for the most part, the status quo this year. Toronto, based on its lineup sheet, was only going to play 1 attacker, but it looks like they've settled in for 3 at least to start this game. And they've opted for long balls that have led to basically nothing, including this one.
Yeah, they haven't been as effective with the ball as Charlotte have. I mean, you see how they're playing, they're just moving the ball, they're being patient with it, they're recycling the ball from left to right, waiting for the opportunity to play forwards. If they can just clean up, that was another switched, a longer diagonal ball or 30, 35 yard pass. If they can just clean up those passing a little bit and hit the target, hit the fullback's feet, might be able to spring attack and create 2v1 situations down the weak side.
Dennis Castillo was looking for that last pass, which led to nothing. Fans, don't forget, you can follow the USL on social media. You can follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at USL Soccer. That is at USL Soccer. Good ball put in here by Osorio. Catching up with it, Bernal. Brian James.
Did very well to bring that down on his chest.
Have to be able to handle the tricky hop that this messy pitch is going to create tonight. Here's Hundle playing it behind his intended receiver, Aiden Daniels, and he'll go over to Charlotte. As the man who was the regular starter last season for Independence, John Berner, takes it in his hands. The 25-year-old in his 3rd professional season. He was loaned to Charlotte by the parent club, the Colorado Rapids, last season, and the same case this year. Klaus ahead for Metcalf. Jack on the right block. That's taken down by Bernal. We're talking about young player Sean Hundle scored the game winner, or rather, he scored his first professional goal at 16 years of age. He scored the opener against the Wilmington Hammerheads and lost to Wilmington back on May 29th.
And he doesn't look out of place. He's still starting to work his way into the game, coming, checking in feet. He's mixed it up. He's got it. He's made a couple runs in behind as well, and he's just working his way in. And he looks like a good athlete for a 16-year-old. He looks a lot more mature than his age.
He was making his professional debut against FC Montreal on April 10th. Here's a lead pass to him. Bernal turned it in very nicely. Hundle was beaten to the ball by Duckett, who has to clear it up the near sideline. Caleb Calvert saves it in. It'll be taken back by James. He'll corkscrew it around. Away it goes to Tainer. Now Wesley Sharpie to the far end of the field. Toronto FC 2 only with 2 wins this season. They are 2-7-2. They are in 12th place in the Eastern Conference. For right now, Charlotte is in 6th place in the Eastern Conference. That's after Rochester's game with FC Montreal today. But if Charlotte wins, they'll be, as we mentioned, at 20 points.
Yeah, they'll be able to put the 5 or 6 points in between them and Kickers, Wilton Hammerheads, and Orlando City B. So it would move them away sort of from that middle pack, if you like.
Here's a giveaway. Caleb Calvert was looking across. It was stolen away by Aiden Daniels. Frazier, Malik Johnson. Daniels looks to play it alongside to Sal Bernal. Hundle hovering over in the box. Pass was knocked down by Metcalf. He'll try to clear it up the field. Way it goes to Klaus. Now Estrada jostling and losing the ball to Osorio. And out of play. Jason Bent, the 1996 Maryland graduate, second year as the head coach of Toronto FC2, encouraged by his team's defensive starter as they're trying to pin up the Jacks and doing a good job keeping Charlotte from clearing the ball. Just as I say that, here goes Lewis Hilton away to Jorge Herrera. Up the field, Pfeffer. He'll make a runner along the right wing. And it's with Jackson playing drums off south end zone. Here's Hilton looking to move it along. One-touch pass for Herrera was broken up nicely by Daniels. Now Bernal goes to the far end of the field. Johnson can't keep up with it.
That was a good attack by Charlotte. Hilton pressed the ball nice and aggressively in central midfield, put them away on a break, and just that last little pass just let them down. But it's good signs.
Already today, Rochester has won. They defeated FC Montreal 2-0. Montreal's first win this season, as mentioned earlier, in Richmond at City Stadium of all places, and now with 10 games under their belt, Rochester has 18 points. Charlotte, with a win tonight, would get to 20. They would tie Rochester with a tie. Estrada takes a nice pass from Klaus on the right wing. Caleb Calvert will come in and fill the box. Jorge Herrera joins him. Pass was knocked down by Tainer. And then coming up from behind, Metcalf is called for a foul that the crowd wasn't happy about.
No, I'd have to take a look at it again. First thoughts it was a foul. He just came in through the back of the Toronto FC player. So for me, it was a foul.
See Alex Bono coming out of net. It's usually either him or Quillian Roberts who has been the starter. Roberts had started the last 3 games for TFC2. Native of Brampton, Ontario is Roberts. Bono gets started tonight. He's a native of Syracuse, all 22 years old. Charlotte has scored 14 goals in its first 10 USL games. After 10 games last year, they had 12. So there's been a better pace of scoring, even though there's been a drought as of late. Header put away, ultimately intercepted by Liam Frazier. And then Mitch Tainer will play it back to Bono as the wind begins to pick up to the far end of the field. Very happy you're with us here tonight at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. Sharpie takes a peek on the outside to Osorio. That area is covered up, and Metcalf comes up with an interception. Here's Klaus. Forward to Caleb Calvert, who can't quite make the play on this messy pitch. Ultimately, is intercepted. Played back by Robert Boskovic, another young player, all of 17 years of age. He signed with the TFC2 Academy when he was 13. Hundle makes a long run up the field. Duckett will beat him to the ball, and Blal has a choice but to play it as Hundle kept the pressure on. Now strips of the way. Here's Hundle moving toward an empty net. Hundle will fire, and he scores. Sean Hundle scores his second professional goal on a mispay by Bilal Duckett. And Toronto FC2 has come up with a huge goal early in this one in the 19th minute to add to Charlotte's uphill climb.
Well, there he goes again. He's made 3, 4, maybe 5 of those runs now at the back of Duckett. And, I mean, he just didn't want to give up. He didn't give up. He forced the pressure, turned the ball over, nice and strong in attack. And then what about the composure for a 16-year-old? What about the composure for the finish? Just to take the extra touch past the keeper, touch, and then put it in the back of the net.
So Bilal Duckett was trying to shield the ball away from Sean Hundle there and ultimately could not. And Hundle comes away with an unassisted goal, though it was a very good lead pass that set all that up.
Yeah.
And Hundle winds up cashing it in, and Toronto FC2 has got the lead 1-0.
First real chance of the game as well, honestly.
That's true, and here's another opportunity after another turnover. Hundle plays it back. Aiden Daniels. Malik Johnson right out of the box. Martinez comes up on him. There's Aiden Daniels once again into the 18, stripped away from behind by Calvert. Herrera tries to play alongside David Estrada with a good move to Anthony Osorio. And out comes Independence looking for an equalizer now. Hundle announced as getting the goal as an unassisted goal, as we mentioned, his second of the year. After getting that opener against Wilmington, good news for Charlotte is that the Hammerheads scored the final 3, and they'll need something of that nature tonight to come out here with a victory. A much needed one. Charlotte has only lost once at home all year, and that was, of course, the heartbreaker to Louisville City. Aside from that, it's been all victories. Charlotte has won 4 in a row, make that at home. Long ball sent up the field by Sharpie is intercepted by June Marcus Davison. Independence in a 2-2 tie last year. They played last August over at the Ontario Soccer Complex. Patrick Slogic scored in that one, also gave up an own goal, and Ryan Finley, who's now playing in Sweden, wound up getting the game-tying goal in the 87th minute on a penalty kick. Martinez making his first start over on the left end of the field. Bears to mention that of the players who have played along the back line as of late for Charlotte, only Bilal Duckett is the regular starter and is the only player in there tonight. Herrera in the heart of the field, swaps to the right. Metcalf trying to attack the right back, looks in, goes to the end line and headed out.
Yeah, good vision by Herrera, spraying the ball out wide, and Metcalf just putting a little bit too much on it this time, a little bit deep.
Got a Toronto player down. That looks like 42, Mitch Tainer, one of the center backs, man who graduated from Rutgers, a native of Willimantic, Connecticut. As you see Jason Bent, the Toronto FC2 coach. Toronto does have one road win this year. That was at Olympic Stadium, where they knocked off FC Montreal in their own version of a Canadian derby there. In fact, several of these players for Toronto FC2 played earlier this week for the parent club, Toronto FC, in the Canadian Championships, their own domestic cup. Curved inside the box, the attempt by Martinez was kicked out off of Johnson. The Jacks will get a throw in. It was Brian James who played in that one. Also, Malik Johnson came in late for Toronto FC2 in a victory over the Montreal Impact 4-2. And a player who has played with Toronto FC2 this season, in Jordan Hamilton, wound up scoring a goal in that one as well. Not to mention Anthony Osorio's brother scored twice in that one, his older brother. Anthony playing tonight on the back line for Toronto FC too. Here's Metcalf. Charlotte really struggling after showing off some fancy passing early in this game to get into a flow offensively. Duckett opts to the right. Estrada will play it. Had to make sure he had to stay on side, which he did. Metcalf leaves it alongside. Clouds couldn't catch up with it as Osorio kicked it out. Here's Hilton. June Marcus Davison now. Martinez. And of course Charlotte having its back line pretty much dismantled for the most part against the Railhawks. They did everything they possibly could to make almost 85 minutes shorthanded. They had 30 minutes of extra time and about 65 minutes of regulation after the red card was picked up by June Marcus Davison. Herrera. Klaus plays it along to the aforementioned Davidson, who looks in the box. Here's June. Rolling back over, and Charlotte's loading up, but they can't quite pull the trigger. They can't find the shooting lane right now.
Yeah, it's a good spell of possession. I mean, again, they're being patient with it. The Toronto are being disciplined and sitting in there, making it tight on the edge of the box, and they just need to keep working the ball. And good
ball put in that time by Metcalf, but it was over the head of Herrera and Calvert. Sent up in the air by Sharpie. Johnson couldn't field it. Sean Hundle. Johnson will duck it once again below his rule. And we have a late foul called. And Sean Hundle made that foul, and Walt Duckett, the captain of the team once again tonight, as it's been for all of Charlotte's games this season, take it down and trying to get the referee, Brent Artis, to stack a little bit more, but card will not be given, at least not now. Jackson Militia making noise here. Independence playing its 11th game of the season here tonight. They're looking for its 6th victory. They lost last week to FC Cincinnati and Louisville City. Herrera will take the free kick. Lost it in box. He'll go in on net. Bono is there and takes it down. So after Charlotte had some early chances, that was the first time they've had a real opportunity in quite some time.
Yeah, they had a good spell of possession then for a couple of minutes, and Metcalf was managing to get into a little bit higher positions, and also doing on the other side too. Again, they're real patient with the ball. Just took the chance. We've seen early on in the first 3 or 4 minutes, they can find 3 or 4 one-touch passes on the edge of the box. And if they can find that space, find that 1-2, they'll be in goals and score the equaliser.
They haven't been able to get into 1v1 or 2v2 situations at all, though. Yeah. There's no real isolation at all. And
no. I mean, Toronto have been sort of getting a lot of numbers behind the ball, making it difficult for them. They're willing to allow the Independents to play in front of them. So it's just they've got to find that little bit of quality, timing of the pass, timing of the run, in order to unlock that defense.
Long ball put in by Osorio, intended for Hundle, but it's taken away by John Berner. So Independence, after giving up the goal by Sean Hundle, the 16-year-old Brampton, Ontario rookie, trailing this one 1-0. Caleb Calvert brings forth, but pass was intercepted by Painter. Anthony Osorio to the right, and the play taken out. Osorio went down, and it's going to be a foul called against Jorge Herrera, and Osorio is still down. Toronto has lost 4 in a row, 7 of its last 8. Its only win in that span was that one against Richmond on May the 11th. They lost to Wilmington on Sunday, 3-1. Take a lead early in this one here tonight. Looking forward to winning the United States year. June Marcus Davidson. Martinez up the field. Not going to be in a panic here despite trailing early. A very young squad. Strada on the right. Of several players on the Charlotte team with 3 goals. Strada plays it along for another man who's got 3 goals in USL action, Jorge Herrera, who couldn't hold on. Estrada there to pick it off. Good spin move. Plays to the right for Lewis Hilton. That was blocked down by Wesley Sharpie. And up comes the 32-year-old up the field. Malik Johnson. Pass intercepted by Estrada. One touch. Caleb Calvert was looking once again for Estrada, who didn't see that pass coming. And again, it's picked off.
Yeah, not quite on the same page, but winning it in dangerous areas, and hopefully if they can continue to get good pressure and nick things there in that midfield, then hopefully they can break with numbers and find that pass, that well-weighted, well-timed pass, and get themselves a good chance.
It's taken a long time for that to happen, at least at the beginning of this one here, as we're in the 30th minute. Charlotte had a breakdown on the back line, and that's been the case, unfortunately, lately. Sean Hundle will take that ball that bounces to his feet. Johnson has Bernal up ahead, but he's looking back. Sharpie. Dane Daniels. Liam Frazier. The center back will play it alongside, looking for Osorio, but that pass cleared everything. I remind you that Nike Soccer is a front sponsor of USL. Follow them on Twitter at Nike Soccer. That is at Nike Soccer. 1-0. Sean Hundle is second of the year, second of his professional career for that matter. Sprint Toronto FC 2 to the lead. Lewis Hilton's pass was knocked down by Liam Frazier. He'll give it up to Brian James. James cuts to the right. Castillo. Johnson can run an open field, and coming up fine, Castillo commits a foul, and there'll be more to that. Castillo will be up for the first time this year.
Malik Johnson did very well there. I think it was Castillo that got tight to him, and he just spun him with the outside of the right foot. Was driving away to goal, and it was obviously a dangerous situation, and Castillo decided to put the boot in there and bring him down. So another good chance here for Toronto. I'd say about 25 yards out from goal.
This is a dangerous spot on the field here. So Castillo, the first man in the book tonight. And we'll see who'll take the free kick here. Hundle is not back. Aiden Daniels is, along with Sal Bernal. Aiden Daniels, the midfielder. Lurking in was one Charlotte player. He's ordered back by the referee. Fans on the Met deck making some noise. Daniels will put the free kick in play. That one bounced off the wall. Looked like it went off of Marcus Davidson.
Yeah, Wall jumped and stood strong. Did the job well.
Wesley Sharpie. Over to Bono. One player who's regularly in the lineup for Toronto FC2 tonight is sitting out, at least to start this one. That's Chris Nella, the 21-year-old who has played in 8 games this year. He started 7 of them. He's usually the man in the 10 spot for Coach Jason Bent's team, but tonight he's not starting. Bilal Duckett tries to beat Bernal to the ball, and Bernal knocks it out of play. As for Charlotte, they don't have Enzo Martinez in the starting lineup, but he can always back in as well. Also, Jan Akra, a regular starter, not starting in this one here tonight. He has started 6 of the 10 games played. Enzo not starting tonight for only the 2nd time all season. And then there's Brian Brown, who's not starting for the 1st time this season, along with Sloggett, Henry Kalungi. Henry, out of 300 possible minutes, has played 290. These are the first minutes that Patrick Slogic has missed this season. Duckett, however, has played all 300 minutes coming into this game, as that ball went off the corner flag and it's kept in play, remarkably. Lucky bounce that time for TFC2. Marcus Davidson comes over. Castillo, bump from behind. Klaus to Davidson. Castillo. It looked like that Toronto was going to be content conceding a long throw, but instead the ball bounced off the corner flag, and
Yeah. It's not often you see that.
the Junior Reds just decided to make do with it and got it up the field. Estrada, Metcalf springs it forward. Jorge Herrera, Estrada leaves it up for Caleb Calvert, but Bono will wait for that to bounce his way. Caleb had a brief call-up to the Colorado Rapids. He was called up last week. He missed the Orlando City B game. He stayed over in Colorado for about 3 days and then was sent back to Charlotte just in time to play in the contest against the Carolina Railhawks on Wednesday. But unfortunately, he didn't see the ball very much because Charlotte was shorthanded almost the entire way.
Well, he's been working very, very hard tonight and closing down the midfielders and the centre backs and trying to initiate that pressure on the ball.
Bernal initiates a 1v2. Relents to Osorio. Hundo looking for the ball in the box. Bernal trying to clear it to him. Metcalf loses the ball, and down in the box, penalty. Penalty is called. Sal Bernal wound up creating that opportunity as he was tripped up in the box. First, he beat Jet Metcalf, and ultimately David Estrada fouled him in the 18.
Yeah, great intensity and energy from Bernal. Obviously beats Metcalf and then drives straight into the space. I mean, it was very, very. It was either right on the line or just inside or just outside. Sorry. Referee didn't hesitate. Straight to the. As we take a look at it again here. Ooh.
Yep, that was just inside the white line.
So the referee didn't hesitate. Straight to the penalty spot.
It will be Malik Johnson going for his 3rd of the year here. David Estrada still upset. He stepped right in front of the net here. That's Davison, excuse me. Malik Johnson, the 18-year-old, will go for his 3rd of the year here in this penalty. This is his first penalty attempt of the season. And he scores. And now Charlotte finds itself in a position they couldn't have imagined finding themselves in going in. They are down 2-0 to Toronto FC2.
Yeah, need a quick response. Get back on the ball, keep moving it, try and get the 2 fullbacks forward. Let's get into, maybe work the ball into crossing positions and let's see if we can put their TFC 2's back 4 under a bit of pressure. Now, I think it's important that they try and respond. Obviously, they will try and respond immediately, come back with something.
We'll take a look at the penalty once again. And a very good strike this time, his third goal of the year. As we'll see it come here in the 36th minute. So Charlotte, now down 2, has a big mountain to climb. You don't ever want to let one loss turn into 2 or 2 to turn into 3, but you feel like this team still hasn't recovered from the Carolina Railhawks game from the other night. They were on the defensive the whole time in that one, and despite some early encouraging opening signs, tonight they've just not been able to find any rhythm offensively whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm sure that game would have been both physically and mentally draining. And then in terms of tonight, I mean, I'll still say that they've had the better possession of the ball. It just, the couple of times, TFC 2 have got in behind the defense, they've punished them.
Yep. They've beaten players isolated one-on-one. Last time it was Duckett, and last time it was Metcalf, and Duckett gave up the first one to Sean Hundle. So Metcalf plays it in. Estrada beaten to the ball by Ready to go here with the second half as Independence has started the second half with 3 substitutions. Brian Brown, Christopher Hellman, and Jan Eckler all check into the game. Zach Pfeffer checks out along with Lewis Hilton. And Independence needs a step forward here as Sean Hundle breaks to the far end of the field, looks to leave it in for Sal Bernal, who was calling for a handball. It was cleared out momentarily by Duckett and taken back by Jan Eckler. So some of the faces that we thought we would see come in for Independence indeed have reported in. Patrick Slogic is not in uniform tonight as he is out of this contest. One touch pass by Brown leads it to Eckler, and right away Charlotte showing a lot more spring in their step. Good cross ahead and a goal! Jorge Herrera tucked in the cross from David Estrada. And Jorge winds up scoring, and just like that, it's a 2-1 game.
Well, just what Coach Jeffries would have wanted. You know, a minute into the second half, and you got your goal back, and it was the 2 substitutes again that made it. Well, that made the difference. It was Brown and Eckler that linked up really, really well with a nice little back flick, and then Eckler put a lovely ball through into Castillo and crossed it for Jorge Herrera, who made a great run across his man and just glanced it into the bottom left-hand corner.
And Jorge looked right at his daughter, who is celebrating a birthday today, in the front row when he wound up cashing that header in. David Estrada will get the assist, his first of the year, and Independence has cut the deficit in half within 90 seconds of the second half starting, and you can see right away how much of a difference Jan Eckler and Brian Brown make to this lineup. Charlotte takes the ball right back. Here's Estrada, leaving it away to Dennis Castillo, and his curve goes well beyond anyone. So we'll take a look at the goal here in just a second, but a fantastic play, though, overall, and Independence needed that in the worst way after a disappointing half where Toronto FC2 took its first 2-goal lead of the season. Charlotte, in its young history, has never come back from a 2-goal deficit. They were down 2-0 against FC Cincinnati in the third game of the season on April 9th. Dennis Castillo scored in that one at Nippert Stadium, the first ever game for FC Cincinnati in Ohio, but Charlotte couldn't quite complete the comeback. Now Charlotte will try to do that here tonight against this young Toronto FC2 squad. Caleb Calvert also has gone out of the game for Independence, so Hilton, Pfeffer, and Calvert out. Eckler, Hellman, and Brown are in. Fans, don't forget, we'd like to thank the following sponsors for their support of your Charlotte Independence: Roll Oral and Facial Surgery, Spirit Communications, along with Skyview Dentistry, the U.S. National Whitewater Center, and Dick's Sporting Goods. Sponsors, we thank you. 2-1 Charlotte, bouncing back with the goal from Jorge Herrera, his 4th of the year, and that bolsters his team lead in points. That's counting all competitions. He scored insurance against the Charlotte Eagles in USL play. That's his 3rd of the year. Christopher Hellman is in the game. He also scored against the Eagles. He scored the first game-winning goal of his career as he pounded in a rebound in the 20th minute in the Queen City Derby. Brian James taken out from behind. Jan Eckler hit with the foul.
Yep, easy call for the referee. Came in through the back of him a little bit rash.
Referee Brandon Artis, along with the rest of his crew out there tonight, on a day which reached over 95 degrees here in the Queen City. When we started play on the pitch here tonight, it was still probably over 100. It has dissipated greatly as clouds have formed in over the last 45 minutes or so, and nightfall descends here in downtown Charlotte. Jan Eckler, chest down, a ball put away by Bono. Klaus still in there, and Eckler appealing for a handball, and Brian James gets it. Charlotte with a quick restart. Hellman goes to the far end. Klaus puts it in the box. Bono has to go to his knees to scoop it up.
Well, they've definitely started with a lot more intent and purpose, haven't they, with this half? The substitutions and have definitely come on and give it energy. Eckler in there has been, you know, he just fouled someone there, but he's applying a high pressure. And yeah, I like the way it's going at the minute, the game. And Coach Jeffries there's obviously got that message through to them that, okay, look, the possession's great, but we need a little bit more purpose, we need a little bit more intensity what we do.
Good ball put forward by Robert Boskovic up the field, and Toronto FC2 will wind up getting it back. You got Brandon Artist as assistants tonight, Ryan Graves and Kevin Marr. Doug Harder is the fourth official. Charlotte has used 3 of its 5 substitutions. Toronto FC2 with its warm-ups coming almost immediately after the goal by Jorge Herrera. And here's Jean Ekwer making another sprint forward as he wins yet another loose ball. Funny how they always go to him, or at least quite often.
Yep, just getting himself in and about the play.
Dennis Castillo plays it back. June Marcus Davidson now essentially a center back in there. This is Klaus pushing it forward. Jorge Herrera draws a free kick. He was nubbed from behind, it appeared, by 55 Aiden Daniels.
Well, this is probably the third or fourth free kick they've had in a similar area to this. And they haven't been able to get on the end of one as yet. They've been hitting the back post. It was Hilton in the first half that whipped a good one into the back post. Just no one there in that area to get on the end of it.
Well, Jorge is standing back here with Brian Brown. Brian in USL action has scored in 2 consecutive games. He has 3 goals on the season, had the only goal against the Wilmington Hammerheads, and also had the only goal last week, the opener, against Orlando City B. He's lining up here. He'll be taken in. That was off the foot of Hellman. It hit the wall and cleared out to midfield.
Yeah, I didn't quite connect with it how he wanted. Is sort of maybe he was trying to roll it under the wall. I'm not sure, but it didn't seem to catch it the right way.
Independence will have it. Fans, also don't forget, curated craft beer delivery to your doorstep, only a click away. Visit brewpublic.com to learn more and sign up. Brew Public, Ding Dong Beer. That's my favorite slogan to read. Ding Dong Beer. Castillo will head it away. June Marcus Davidson, the native of Japan, plays it forward. Jorge Herrera trying to score another one for his daughter's birthday. Good ball in. Brown chests it down, tries to field it. It was blocked away, winds up in the air. Bono captures it. It was Osorio who got in to disrupt that, and a fine play by Osorio to possibly knock away the equalizer. Didn't get a whole lot on it, but just enough to keep it away from the back of the net. And then John Berner collects a wayward ball at the other end.
A couple of really nice passes. John Davidson found Herrera in space, and Herrera opened up his body. Nice little left foot pass here. You'll see John Davidson's on the ball. He's again looking for that sort of area, again looking for Herrera in between the midfield, in between the Toronto midfield and Toronto defense.
The spring and the step of Independence compared to the first half is like night and day right now. Hellman, far on the field, deflected by Daniels, taken away by Brian James, and then cleared. Not seeing very much in the way of counters right now from Toronto FC2, the way we saw in the first half, and ultimately leading to the 2 goals, one on a fantastic run by Sean Hundle. Here's a run here. Estrada trying to catch up with it, muscled off the ball, goes to the end line, and ultimately called a goal kick, much to the dismay of the fans on the Met deck, by Brandon Artis. Right in there was Robert Boskovic muscling in with David Estrada for possession of that ball. It was close. Well, they hit a patch there on the field that unfortunately has fell victim to the torrential rains here in the area, and unfortunately you couldn't really tell exactly where that ball was and how far it really cleared over the white line. Again, one-touch passing. Ecker goes down. Foul is called against Liam Frazier. Independence has started out strong here after possibly their worst half of the season in the first 45 minutes. Trailing 2-0 at the half. Jorge Herrera knotted in a header off a beautiful cross from David Estrada, and now they're looking for an equalizer.
Yeah, Toronto really struggling to get sort of out their own half and relieve the pressure that the Independents have put on them since that second whistle went for half-time here for the second half. I mean, the substitutions, Ecker and Brown have come on and really added a bit of energy in there, and I think they've made that impact that Coach Jeffries, I'm sure, he wanted them to go out there and do.
Well, Brown and Accra didn't even go to the locker room. They were just warming up for much of the second half while the rest of the team was getting a talk from Coach Jeffries and the staff. They were just warming up here because they anticipated going in and probably were told that. Estrada gets a good through ball in. Hellman will try to save it. He does at the penalty marker. Estrada gets it away to Jorge Herrera, and Jorge notches it in to tie the game. Roar, young man, roar.
Wow. What a second half this has been for Charlotte Independence. And they don't look like holding up either. I mean, it's been a constant one-way flow of traffic.
Jorge Herrera, the 35-year-old in his 16th professional season, has taken the team lead in scoring. Pretty set up here from Chris Hellman.
Yeah, it does well just to control its side foot. The ball's bouncing, bobbling. He just guides it into that area of the goal where the keeper can't get it.
So Jorge gets the brace. Chris Hellman winds up with the assist, and we're tied at 2. Another beautiful run here by Jorge Herrera.
Oh, the Independents are definitely feeling it now.
And Jan Ecker created a turnover, stripping that ball away from James. Here's Klaus going in. Brown won't have a chance to field it in the 6, as that's taken away by Alex Bono. So notched up at 2 here. We don't have time here because the scoreboard tonight isn't operating, so we'll have to just go by what's being kept on the field here. And we apologize for that inconvenience, fans, but it is 2-2 now. That we know for sure. And Jorge Herrera responsible for both goals for Independence on his daughter's birthday. And what a way to ring it in. Klaus to the far end. Jorge's got it there. Independence now trying to look for the lead. Klaus away to Jan Eckra. Castillo makes a run in, but he can't get the ball as Frazier is there to send it to midfield.
It's a nice little idea. It's a little intricate flick around the corner. If the Brown was on the same page, it could have been, or could have resulted in the third.
Klaus once again was looking inside that time. Herrera. Independence with Klaus to the far end of the field. Moves it along to Jan Eckra. Castillo making another run, trying to collect the through ball, but can't. Well, fans, also don't forget, get in the game through the USL social media channels. Follow the USL on Twitter, Facebook, and on Instagram for news, live game updates, and video highlights from all across the league. It was Herrera from Estrada in the 47th minute, and then in roughly the 56th, it was Herrera again, this time from Chris Hellman. Hellman's first assist this year, and he's got the ball now.
Metcalf is racing up and down that right wing now to get in support of the attack.
Hellman's got it to the right. Metcalf to the far end. Looks to play the cross. Thought better of it as Bernal got in his way. Hellman chips it in, looking for Brown. Headed out by Sharpie. Castillo, who's been aggressive, with a chip in, but no one's there. Metcalf will make a run, but the ball will go over the end line. And with that, we're going to see Chris Manella come in for the first time tonight, along with the player who was sent to Toronto FC2 on Friday, Clemen Simonin. Second-year player, a native of Argentina, is going to come in. First 2 Toronto FC2 substitutions of the night. Liam Frazier will check out, and so will 51, Robert Boskovic.
Yeah, bit of fresh legs in midfield, and that's centre half there for Toronto FC. Maybe getting a little bit overwhelmed, especially with the introduction of Ekra, who's done very, very well. So
Toronto FC2 has played 32 different outfielders this year. And this is only their 11th game. You could set up a golf tournament for all the players that have played for Toronto FC2 this year, but you have to rent 3 courses. They played 32 players. In USL play only, by comparison's sake, Charlotte has played 21.
Well, they've obviously got a system of trying to bring through youth at Toronto with the academy that they have, obviously. You've got a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, and 18-year-old in the team. So,
June Marcus Davidson Tried to find a way through, but that one was kicked out immediately. Jan Ekra. Hellman is usually a captain on this team, not wearing the captain's armband tonight. That goes to Bono. Good ball in. Brown trying to get it in from Castillo. Very nicely done. And Castillo wound up making the play, and Bono caught that ball in the wrong place. He went down, and he stayed down. Didn't appear to be any. Well, I thought there was no contact, but now Brown's being given a yellow card. Brian Brown earns the yellow. That's his second one this year.
Brown's he's arguing that he had his eyes on the balls. Well,
see what happened here. Excellent pass that time by Castillo.
Yeah, I mean, he has a right to go for the ball. Obviously he catches the keeper, and the referee deems it unsafe or dangerous.
So Bono is still down. That one coming in the 61st minute. So that's where we are right now in terms of regulation. Toronto FC 2 making those 2 substitutions. They have 3 remaining. Charlotte has 2 remaining after opening the second half with 3 substitutes that have put a spark into this team and has given them a 2-2 tie after a lifeless first half, a plodding first half by Charlotte, quite honestly. Jan Ekra, Brian Brown, Chris Hellman, all factoring in huge here in the opening minutes of the second half.
Yeah, Brian Brown was the one that cut the ball back for Herrera for the second one, and it was Brian Brown.
Chris Hellman.
Chris Hellman, sorry, yeah. It was the cut ball back, lovely cut back for Herrera finished. And for the first goal that the Independent scored, it was Brown and Ekra that combined with a nice little 1-2 flick, a little back heel flick, and then a lovely ball in down the left again. And Castillo crossed for Herrera. So substitutions, I mean, we've said it 2 or 3 times, but they really have made a genuine impact on the game. And at this point now, you feel that the Independents might be in the control seat right now.
Yep.
In the ascendancy.
Bono is still down and is talking to the head official, Brandon Artis. Well, in the 18 that we were given, Patrick Slogic is not listed in there. Scores from tonight: Charleston leads Pittsburgh 2-1. That's a Pittsburgh franchise that has had an adventurous time ever since we last spoke to you. They dismissed their former head coach, brought in the former head coach at Navy as their new head coach. They had an infamous incident where they lost their leading scorer. Unfortunately, that made national headlines in a game against the New York Red Bulls 2 that, if you haven't seen it, you can check it out for yourself. It was not a pretty scene whatsoever, but that player was essentially fired from the team and suspended by the league for the season. You can look that up for yourself. Austin Yearwood, Alec Barrett. We mentioned Chris Hellman, Enzo Martinez on the 18 sheet tonight, along with the backup goalkeeper, Cody Mazzell. So Enzo could very well come in here.
Yep.
We'll see if Mike Jeffries wants to make that move as we move on.
The way things are going right now, obviously, just let it be, let them go. I mean, this is probably the first time in 10 minutes Toronto have had possession of the ball in.
Boy, good run here by Osorio, and eventually Bilal Duckett has to dispose of it, and it winds up in the very back row bleachers.
And that's what Toronto need. They just need someone to take the ball by the horns. Nice and direct, be positive, just like he was there down the left wing and drove inside at the Independents.
Aiden Daniels lining up for this throw-in. Osorio will trigger it. Malik Johnson, who scored the penalty kick that gave Toronto FC 2 a 2-0 lead. For Johnson, it was his 3rd of the season. Daniels has his pass skip. Nicely handled by Brian James. Chris Manella calling for it, can't get it.
Oh, nice turn.
Nicely done by Aiden Daniels. He'll move out to the right. Lays it alongside to Wesley Sharpie. Pass knocked down by Mitch Tainer. Charlotte having to chase this time and eventually winning the ball. Jan Ekra takes it away from Klaus. A chip by Brown. Jorge lining up in position with Sharpie. They locked arms and it goes over the end line.
Yeah, just managed to get his body in front of Herrera and use it to his advantage to block him off.
Jorge Herrera, with his first brace of the season, has notched the game at 2. First goal from David Estrada. A beautiful cross, and then Chris Hellman wound up feeding Jorge once again. As Castillo heading that one back to the goalkeeper, John Berner, who's starting his second USL game this season. As Jorge's family has come up and decided to join the proceedings in a giveaway. Brian James tries to elude Paul Klaus. He'll dribble to the right, leaves it away. Sharpie controls, got 3 in the box. Sharpie in a 1v1 against Estrada, and it leads to a corner. Haven't seen many Toronto corners in this game. In fact, this is the first one.
Yep.
Got lightning well off in the distance. That's to the north side of town, and hopefully it stays there so we can complete the final 25 minutes here and change. I'd imagine there's going to be at least 2 minutes of added time because of Bono's injury, along with the 2 goals. Probably more than that. Corner goes in. Dangerous spot, headed in front and cleared out by Herrera, who's doing everything. Osorio. Far in, Sal Bonal tangled up with Brown for a loose ball, and it's taken back by Hellman for Independence. Free ball at midfield. A hard collision. Klaus went down hard on the play, and that's going to lead to the first Toronto booking of the night.
Strong tackle.
That was Brian James, who winds up in the book. Paul Klaus needs a moment to recover. Let's take a look at that again, Jack.
Yeah, from the side. I mean, fully committed, but it's a big hit and definitely a yellow card.
Brian James himself was shaken up after that one.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, boy, got his hip into it. So James takes his second yellow of the year, first booking of the night for TFC2. And with the game tied at 2, it's going to be Marcus Davidson. Castillo calling for the ball from Jan Ekra. Jan pushed away. Away it goes to Klaus. Now Metcalf to the far end. 2 former Clemson players hooking up here. Ball headed away. Castillo swoops in. Ekra from the 18. That one was blocked by James. Nice chip to the side by Klaus, away to Castillo, but the long ball goes nowhere. Well, fans, Coca-Cola is the official soft drink of Charlotte Independence. Coca-Cola. Experience the world of awe. I like reading that one, too. Going to have a new Toronto FC player in there. It's going to be Richie Innan, a Toronto native who is all of 17 years old. And it looks like he is going to check in for Malik Johnson. The goal kick by Bono. Duckett sends it away. Osorio intercepts. Sal Bernal, who had the game winner against Richmond, tangled up. Going down was Hellman. Metcalf is there to clear it up the field. And we have a foul called as Brian Brown was trying to get in position. Oh, they're going to call that on Brown. As the foul was drawn there by 20 Chris Manella. Sharpie nudges it along. Brian James. Irwin will come in at the next dead ball. Curl to the line. Saving it in, Malik Johnson. And a foul will be called. And with that, Irwin will check in. That'll be the last action for Malik Johnson tonight. He goes out, having notched the second Toronto FC 2 goal. So Johnson leaves. He thought for a moment that maybe, just maybe, he might wind up with the game winner. That won't be the case. And Charlotte will press on, trying to get the advantage for the first time tonight. Marcus Davidson, Bilal Duckett. Some regular faces have steadily worked their way back into the lineup tonight here for Independence. And it's led to big things from that man, Jorge Herrera, with 2 goals on assist from David Estrada and Chris Hellman. Davidson's pass is intercepted by Manella. The outlet will go away to Richie Innan. Innan curves to the right, stripped away by Jorge. Bit of a hole by in there. A 17-year-old against the veteran in his 19th season. Bit of an experience discrepancy there, to say the least.
Just a little bit.
Clement Simon, the new center back in there. Plays it along to Mitchell Tainter. 1,801 here tonight at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. Nice crowd here for a Saturday night. And we thank the fans for coming out and encourage them to return on Friday when Bethlehem Steel come to town. Paul Klaus to Metcalf to the far end. Working for it is Hellman. He's got it. Hounding him is Manella, who's going to take that 10 spot here. And if Toronto FC 2 gets possession, chances are he'll wind up with a good deal of it. Klaus to the far end, looking for Metcalf once again. The former Clemson teammates working together here, looking to get Charlotte that third goal. June Marcus Davidson chips it in. He was looking for Brown. That one was headed away by Manella, intercepted by James. Now Accra comes in, goes down, no whistle. James plays it to the right. This is Ennis. Ritchie will try it in on a 1v1, working in against Castillo, drops to the right. Drops it off. Here's a chance. Oh, a stop made by Burner.
Smart save, because it's not easy when it's bouncing there in front of you with uneven ground.
That was Aiden Daniels with the opportunity. Couldn't quite cash it in, and he looked disappointed with himself that the strike wasn't better.
It does well to claw that back in.
So we remain tied at 2 here as we approach the 70th minute. Nice footwork by the center back, Clement Simon, playing his first game for Toronto FC 2 tonight. James roars back on the right sideline. Sends it away to Sharpie. Now Manella. And we've got a whistle. I think this is for lightning.
Must be.
Lightning off in the distance. So we're going to have a lightning delay. We told you that we saw some lightning just north of town, unfortunately, and we're going to have to evacuate the stadium and see if we can complete this game here. So we're going to have a lightning delay. Not sure where we stand in terms of time. Might be in the 70th minute, perhaps. But we do know that the score is tied at 2. Unfortunately, the scoreboard isn't working, and we have a lightning delay that was issued by referee Brandon Artis. And that's going to put a pause to our game here tonight, midway through the second half. Where are we in terms of time, Ashley? We're in the 73rd minute, so we still have 17 minutes to play here. Thank the reporter from the Charlotte Post for telling us exactly where we stand here live on the air, because we don't have any other means of keeping up with it. So the game halted right now in the 73rd minute. Fans, stay tuned to YouTube in the comment section, and we're going to let you know when we'll pick up tonight's game in the 73rd minute here. Charlotte tied up with Toronto FC 2-2. It's our second lightning delay in as many years here at the Ramblewood Soccer Complex. Had one last year against Richmond. That one ended at the half, and that one had a lot of rain come down. There's no rain out here yet. We'll have to see if there is some. We'll just have to wait and see exactly what this lightning is going to do. Hopefully it'll just blow right over us, and if that's the case, we'll complete tonight's game. If not, we'll just call it a 2-2 draw and send Toronto on home. But folks, we'll let you know where we stand in just a moment. Stay tuned here on YouTube. We'll be back. We're in a lightning delay at Ramblewood Soccer Complex with the score Charlotte Independence 2 and Toronto FC 2. Stay with us. At first, it was just distant lightning that caused a holdup in Saturday night's game between Toronto FC2 and Charlotte Independence, but then it was a hard, unrelenting, pulsating rain that poured in. Charlotte, however, when the weather was dry, got off to a good start against the Junior Reds. That shot there by Jorge Herrera, but then it was this man, Sean Hundo, who wound up beating Bilal Duckett, curving to the middle of the field, scoring his second goal of the season. That made it 1-0 in favor of TFC2, and then a penalty was drawn by Malik Johnson going into the box. Ultimately, it will be Johnson going for his second of the year, one-on-one against Jack's goalkeeper John Berner, and Johnson would convert his third of the season, and that made it 2-0 going into the half. A rather lifeless first half for Charlotte Independence, but the Jacks came alive in the second half because of 3 substitutions made before the second half could even start, and it led to this. David Estrada, just 90 seconds into the second half, curving it in. Jorge Herrera on his daughter's birthday wound up scoring. Charlotte nearly got the equalizer there from Brian Brown on another fine ball set up by Jorge Herrera, but ultimately the Jacks would get the equalizer. Hellman to Herrera again. Jorge with the brace. That's his 5th of the season in USL play, and that evened things up at 2. And then Mother Nature came calling loud and clear in the 73rd minute. It remains tied at 2 between Toronto FC2 and Charlotte Independence. From the Ramblewood Soccer Complex, I'm Jeff Hanlon. lightning that caused a hold-up in Saturday night's game between Toronto FC2 and Charlotte Independence, but then it was a hard, unrelenting, pulsating rain that poured in. Charlotte, however, when the weather was dry, got off to a good start against the Junior Reds. That shot there by Jorge Herrera, but then it was this torrential rains came falling down once again on the Ramblewood Soccer Complex in the 73rd minute in Charlotte Independence game against Toronto FC2 on Saturday night. The game stopped because of lightning not long after that, hard, unrelenting rain, and ultimately that forced the game to be stopped in the 73rd minute, and it was called with Toronto FC2 and Charlotte Independence knotted at 2, so Independence winds up with a draw. Independence wound up having to get 2 goals in the second half of this contest in order just to get the point in the standings. Toronto FC2 wound up taking its largest lead of the season in the first half. They scored first on a penalty kick. They wound up scoring first from Sean Hundle, wound up getting his second professional goal unassisted as he beat Bilal Duckett to the end line and wound up scoring on an empty net as the goalkeeper, John Berner, had made a play for the ball. He didn't get it, and Sean Hundle wound up scoring to make it 1-0 in favor of the Junior Reds. It would turn into a 2-0 Toronto FC2 goal after David Estrada wound up fouling Malik Johnson in the box. Malik Johnson took the penalty, cashed it in for his third of the season, and it was 2-0 in favor of Toronto FC2 at the half. Charlotte Independence, however, would get a spark from 3 substitutions. Jorge Herrera would receive. Can we stop this? Can I start that over again? Can I just start over? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Didn't know we were live there. Sorry about that. But regardless, it was Jorge Herrera who wound up scoring 2 goals in the second half. The first one came in the 47th minute. Jan Akra, Brian Brown, and Chris Hellman came into the game. They immediately paid dividends. David Estrada assisted on the first Jorge Herrera goal, and then Jorge would score his second on a feed from Hellman. Herrera finished with 4 goals on the night. On the night his daughter celebrated a birthday, but ultimately the rain and the weather would rain this one out. In the 73rd minute, it would stop the contest. Charlotte winds up tied with Toronto FC2 at 2-2, and with this tie, Charlotte is now tied in the USL standings with Rochester, both teams with 18 points. However, the Rhinos still have a game at hand. Toronto FC2 earns its 3rd tie of the season. They have 9 points in the standings. From the Ramblewood Soccer Complex, I'm Jeff Hamlin. Thank you for joining us here on YouTube.